The galaxy had a rule. Every species could speak. Every civilization could be heard. Every world had a seat at the Great Galactic Assembly. Except Earth. For centuries, humanity believed that progress came from cooperation. They built cities among the stars, explored distant planets, and offered technology, medicine, and knowledge to countless alien civilizations. Humans were not the strongest. They were not the oldest. They were not the most advanced. But they were always willing to listen. And that was their mistake. Because the galaxy had learned something dangerous about humanity. Humans were peaceful. And many believed peaceful meant weak. The Galactic Dominion had ruled the stars for over 1,000 years. Their fleets stretched across thousands of systems. Their armies were considered unstoppable. Their leaders controlled the assembly, controlled trade routes, and controlled the information that reached every civilization. When Earth requested a permanent voice in galactic affairs, the answer was simple. The Dominion's representative laughed during the assembly meeting. "Your species has existed among the stars for barely 2 centuries, he said. You have no right to influence civilizations older than your entire history. Millions watched as the human ambassador stood silently. Commander Elena Voss looked around the massive alien chamber filled with hundreds of species. We are not asking for control, she said calmly. We are asking to be heard. The Dominion representative smiled. And what happens if we refuse? Elena looked directly at him. Then one day, you may discover what happens when a species that was ignored stops asking. The chamber erupted in laughter. To them, humanity was a young civilization playing among giants. They did not understand. They did not know what humans had hidden. Because while the galaxy watched humanity build peaceful colonies, Earth was preparing for something else. Survival. Human history was filled with impossible wars. Humans had fought enemies larger than themselves. They had crossed oceans with primitive technology. They had reached the moon despite being told it was impossible. Humanity's greatest weapon was never a spaceship. It was adaptation. The Dominion believed humanity had revealed everything. They were wrong. 3 months after Earth's request was rejected, something happened that changed the galaxy forever. The Dominion issued a new law. Human communication channels would be restricted. Human transmissions would require approval. Human representatives would no longer speak during assembly sessions. The official reason was galactic stability. But everyone knew the truth. They were trying to silence Earth. The first message came from the human ambassador. A final transmission. This is Commander Elena Voss of Earth. To every civilization listening, remember this moment. Not because humanity was defeated, but because humanity was patient. The Dominion intercepted the message. They deleted it. They erased it from every network. They thought nobody would hear. But they forgot one thing. Humanity had spent decades exploring the universe. And humans never traveled alone. Hidden beyond the edge of known space was a secret Earth fleet. Ships that were never registered. Weapons that were never revealed. Technology that even Earth's closest allies had never seen. The Dominion believed they had silenced humanity. But they had only removed the last thing stopping Earth from responding. A warning. Because when humanity finally stopped speaking, the galaxy was about to hear something much louder. The sound of engines. The sound of warships awakening. And the sound of an entire civilization saying, "Enough." The galaxy celebrated. The Dominion believed they had won. Across thousands of worlds, the message was the same. Humanity has been contained. Alien news networks repeated the same story. Earth had been dangerous once, but now it was quiet. The humans had been pushed aside. Their voices had been removed. Their influence had disappeared. But deep in the darkness beyond the outermost human colonies, something was waking up. Far beyond the trade routes. Far beyond the reach of Dominion scanners. A fleet waited. Not a fleet built for conquest. A fleet built for survival. For 70 years, humanity had prepared for the day when diplomacy failed. They called it the Horizon Initiative. The Dominion thought Earth spent its resources building exploration vessels, research stations, and peaceful colonies. They never knew those same projects were also creating something else. the largest military fleet ever constructed by a single species. The first ship to awaken was the UNS Eternity, a vessel so massive that even alien dreadnoughts looked small beside it. Its hull was covered in adaptive armor capable of repairing itself. Its engines were powered by a fusion core unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. And inside its command center, thousands of humans prepared for their first mission. Not an attack. A message. Admiral Marcus Kane stood before the tactical display. The stars reflected in his eyes. For decades, humanity had chosen peace. They had offered technology. They had shared discoveries. They had helped alien civilizations recover from disasters. But every act of kindness was mistaken for weakness. "Admiral," one officer said quietly, "the Dominion controls almost 70% of known space. If we reveal ourselves now, they will come for Earth." Marcus looked at the massive fleet surrounding them. Hundreds of human warships waited in silence. "No," he replied. "They will come because they think they can destroy us." He paused. "And they will learn they were wrong." The fleet moved. Not with weapons firing. Not with explosions. But with a simple transmission. Every Dominion-controlled world received the same message. A human voice. Unmistakable. "This is Admiral Marcus Kane of the United Earth Defense Fleet. For decades, humanity requested a place among the stars. We requested cooperation. We requested understanding. You answered by removing our voice." The galaxy stopped. Millions watched the transmission. Because nobody had heard a human broadcast in months. The Dominion attempted to block it. But they failed. Human technology had already bypassed their networks. The message continued. You believed silence meant surrender. You believed isolation meant defeat. You believed humanity had nothing left to show. A pause followed. Then the camera shifted. Behind Admiral Kane appeared the endless human fleet. Thousands of ships. Waiting. The galaxy froze. Alien commanders stared at their screens in disbelief. That fleet was impossible. Where did they build those ships? How did we never detect them? The Dominion's military leaders refused to believe it. They immediately sent their strongest battle group toward human-controlled space. The Dominion's flagship, the Imperial Judgment, led the attack. A ship considered invincible. A symbol of Dominion power. Its commander laughed when he saw the human fleet approaching. "Humans finally show their toys," he said. "Prepare to teach them their place." The Dominion fleet moved forward. Thousands of warships against the unknown human armada. Everyone expected the same result. Humanity would lose. Because that was what history had taught them. But history had missed one important detail. Humans did not build their fleet to win ordinary battles. They built it so that nobody would ever try to silence them again. As the two fleets approached each other, the Dominion commander prepared his final order. Destroy them. The order was sent. Weapons charged. Missiles launched. Energy cannons fired. The galaxy watched as the first battle between humanity and the Dominion began. But then something happened. The human fleet did not attack. It simply moved forward. Straight through the enemy fire. The Dominion watched in confusion. Their strongest weapons struck human shields. And did nothing. Because the Dominion had prepared for the humanity they knew. Not the humanity that had spent decades improving in silence. Then the UNS Eternity opened a communication channel. Admiral Kane spoke only one sentence. "You had your chance to listen." The human fleet activated. And for the first time in galactic history, the Dominion felt fear. The battlefield went silent. Not because the war had ended, but because everyone was trying to understand what they were seeing. The Dominion fleet had fired first. Thousands of weapons had been unleashed. Weapons that had destroyed planets. Weapons that had defeated civilizations. Weapons that had made entire species surrender before a single battle began. But against humanity's fleet, they failed. The alien commanders watched their screens in disbelief. Impossible. Their shields are not collapsing. Our strongest weapons are having no effect. How did a young species create technology beyond ours? The answer was simple. They never truly understood humanity. For centuries, the galaxy measured power by age. The older a civilization was, the more powerful it was considered. The Dominion had existed for over 1,000 years. They believed that made them superior. But humanity measured power differently. Humans measured power by challenges overcome. Every crisis, every war, every disaster, every impossible mission. They learned. They adapted. They improved. And now the galaxy was witnessing the result. Inside the UNS Eternity, Admiral Marcus Kane watched the enemy fleet. "Are they ready to retreat?" asked Captain Sarah Vale. Marcus shook his head. "No." The captain looked surprised. "They know they cannot win." Marcus looked at the holographic display. "That is exactly why they will keep fighting. Pride is sometimes more dangerous than weapons." Across the battlefield, the Dominion commander refused to accept reality. His name was General Vorik, the most decorated military leader in Dominion history. He had conquered hundreds of worlds. He had never lost a battle. And he refused to become the first. "Increase weapon output," Vorik shouted. "Destroy their flagship." The Dominion fleet focused every weapon on the UNS Eternity. Thousands of energy beams crossed the darkness. The human flagship disappeared inside a storm of explosions. The galaxy watched. For a moment, everyone believed humanity had finally fallen. Then the smoke cleared. The UNS Eternity was still there. Not damaged. Not slowed. Not afraid. The human flagship moved forward. And every Dominion soldier felt something they had never experienced before. Fear. Because the impossible was approaching them. The human fleet finally responded. But not with thousands of attacks. Not with uncontrolled destruction. One single weapon fired. A human-designed electromagnetic cannon. A weapon created from decades of research. A weapon designed to defeat enemies without destroying entire worlds. The shot crossed the battlefield. The Dominion flagship's main weapon system disappeared. Not destroyed. Disabled. The entire galaxy watched as the most powerful ship in Dominion history became helpless in seconds. Admiral Kane opened a channel. "General Vorik." The alien commander stared at the human face appearing on his screen. "You have attacked us. You have removed our voice. You have tried to erase our presence. But humanity does not seek revenge." Vorik laughed bitterly. "Then why are you here?" Marcus answered calmly. "To make sure nobody ever tries this again." The Dominion commander remained silent. Because for the first time he understood. Humanity was not fighting for territory. They were fighting for respect. The human fleet surrounded the Dominion battle group. But they did not destroy it. They simply waited. That decision confused every civilization watching. The galaxy expected human revenge. They expected Earth to become another empire. But humanity did something unexpected. They offered peace. A final opportunity. Every Dominion ship received the same message. Stand down. Return home. And tell your leaders what happened here. Tell them the species they ignored was never weak. Tell them the species they silenced was simply patient. The Dominion fleet had two choices. Continue fighting and be destroyed. Or accept that the balance of power had changed forever. So, one ship lowered its weapons. Then another. Then thousands. The largest military force in the galaxy surrendered. Not because humanity destroyed them, but because humanity proved something far more powerful. The galaxy had spent centuries believing strength came from domination. Humanity showed them strength came from restraint. But while the galaxy celebrated the end of the battle, Earth received a message from deep space. A message older than the Dominion itself. A warning from a civilization that had watched the galaxy for thousands of years. And the message contained only 7 words. You have awakened what sleeps beyond the stars. Humanity had defeated its first enemy. But now, something far older was coming. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy was silent. But this silence was different. It was not the silence of fear. It was the silence of realization. Every civilization had watched the same battle. They had watched the Dominion, the strongest military power in known space, fall before a species they considered insignificant. Humanity had not conquered worlds. They had not destroyed cities. They had not taken control. They had simply proven one thing. They could not be ignored anymore. Across thousands of planets, alien leaders gathered. The same question was asked everywhere. Who are the humans really? The answer was becoming clear. Humanity was not a young civilization. It was a dangerous one, because humans were still growing, still learning, still adapting, and that frightened the galaxy more than any weapon. But while everyone focused on humanity's victory, Earth focused on the mysterious message, the warning from beyond known space. The transmission came from a region called the Forgotten Void, a place where no civilization traveled, a region of space filled with abandoned planets and dead star systems. According to ancient records, countless civilizations had disappeared after exploring that area. The message was thousands of years old, yet it had reached humanity only days after the battle. Admiral Marcus Kane stood inside the command chamber of the UNS Eternity. The message played again. You have awakened what sleeps beyond the stars. Nobody spoke. Finally, Captain Sarah Vale broke the silence. Who sent it? The scientists had no answer. Unknown. When was it created? Approximately 12,000 years ago. Marcus looked at the stars outside the window. 12,000 years. He understood immediately. Someone had been watching. Someone had been waiting. Humanity had spent decades preparing for enemies they knew existed. But now they faced something completely different. An enemy nobody remembered. The Galactic Assembly gathered again. But this time, humanity was not standing outside the chamber. They were at the center. The same species they once laughed at was now the one everyone needed. The Dominion leaders arrived without weapons, without arrogance, without their old confidence. Their representative approached the human ambassador. We made a mistake. The words shocked everyone. A Dominion leader admitting failure was something the galaxy had never witnessed. The ambassador looked at him. You tried to silence us. The alien lowered his head. Yes. And now? The Dominion representative looked toward the stars. Now we need your voice. For the first time, the galaxy understood something. Humanity was not dangerous because of its weapons. Humanity was dangerous because when the universe turned against them, they became stronger. But before the Assembly could create a new alliance, every communication system in the galaxy failed. One by one, planet after planet, the lights of civilization disappeared. A shadow moved through the stars. Not a fleet. Not an invasion. Something much larger. Ancient sensors detected impossible readings. Massive structures. Ships larger than moons. Technology that made even Dominion weapons look primitive. The scientists searched their archives. Then they found the truth. Thousands of years ago, an ancient civilization called the Architects ruled the galaxy. They were not conquerors. They were creators. They built artificial worlds, controlled stars, created machines beyond imagination. But one day, they vanished. Nobody knew why. Until now. Because the Architects were not destroyed. They were sleeping. And humanity's battle with the Dominion had activated something hidden deep within the galaxy. A signal that told the ancient machines one thing. A new species had become powerful enough to challenge the old order. The Architects had awakened. The first image appeared on every screen. A structure larger than any planet. A machine world moving through the darkness. And then came a message. Not in words, but directly into every species' communication network. The age of young civilizations is over. The creators have returned. Panic spread across the galaxy. The Dominion prepared their remaining forces. The Assembly begged humanity for help. But this time, humanity did not have an enemy fleet to defeat. They had something much older. Something far more advanced. Something that had watched civilizations rise and fall for thousands of years. Admiral Marcus Kane looked at the approaching machine world. His officers waited for his command. Everyone expected fear. Everyone expected hesitation. Instead, Marcus smiled. Good. The bridge crew looked confused. Good, Admiral? He nodded. For the first time, we know exactly what we are fighting. The human fleet began moving. Not backward, forward. Because humanity had learned something throughout its entire history. The bigger the challenge, the stronger humans became. And now the greatest challenge in the history of the galaxy had arrived. The stars burned with an unfamiliar light. For the first time in recorded history, every civilization in the galaxy stood together. Not because of politics, not because of treaties, not because of fear, but because one species had proven something impossible. Humanity had united them. The architects had returned. The ancient civilization that once controlled the galaxy had awakened after thousands of years of silence. Their machines filled the darkness. Their technology was beyond anything modern civilizations could understand. Their ships were not built. They were grown from artificial planets. Their weapons did not fire energy. They manipulated the fabric of space itself. Against such an enemy, even the combined fleets of the galaxy seemed powerless. The Dominion commanders looked at the enemy approaching. For the first time in centuries, they felt helpless. We cannot win this. The words came from a Dominion officer. Nobody disagreed. Because they were right. The galaxy had spent thousands of years fighting each other. They had built weapons to defeat their neighbors. They had never prepared for something beyond them all. But humanity had. Not because they knew the architects were coming. Because humans had always prepared for the impossible. Inside the UNS Eternity, Admiral Marcus Kane watched the approaching machine world. The size of a planet. The power of a star. A weapon older than any civilization still alive. His officers waited. Admiral, Captain Sarah Vale said, "Our fleet cannot match their technology." Marcus nodded. "I know. Then what is our strategy?" A quiet smile appeared on his face. "We do what humanity has always done. We adapt." The battle began. The architects launched their first attack. Entire sections of space collapsed. Thousands of alien ships disappeared in seconds. The galaxy watched in horror. Nothing could stop them. Nothing except humanity. Because hidden inside the human fleet was something the galaxy had never seen. Not a weapon. A network. For decades, humanity had studied every civilization they met. Every technology. Every scientific discovery. Every mistake. Humans did not collect knowledge to control others. They collected it to survive. And now, every piece of knowledge gathered across the galaxy came together. Human engineers combined alien energy systems. Dominion weapons. Ancient technologies. Human innovation. A weapon created by the entire galaxy. The first true symbol of unity. The architects attacked again. But this time, the galaxy fought back. Human ships moved alongside alien fleets. Species that once hated each other protected one another. The Dominion defended human carriers. Former enemies shared weapons and information. And at the center of it all was Earth. The species everyone once ignored. The species everyone tried to silence. Admiral Kane sent one final message to the architects. "This galaxy is not yours anymore." A response came instantly. Cold. Mechanical. "You are young. You are temporary. Your civilizations rise and fall." Marcus looked at the stars. Then he answered, "That may be true. But every generation of humanity leaves something behind. We build. We learn. We remember. And that is why we survive." The final battle shook the galaxy. Human ships pushed forward. Alien fleets followed. The combined forces of thousands of worlds attacked the ancient machine world. Not with hatred. Not with revenge. With determination. So, the impossible happened. The architects began losing. Their ancient calculations failed. Their predictions became wrong. Because they had studied every civilization before humanity. But they had never studied humans. They did not understand creativity. They did not understand sacrifice. They did not understand a species that became stronger every time it was challenged. The human fleet reached the center of the machine world. The UNS Eternity delivered the final signal. Not a weapon. A message. A message showing the architects every moment of human history. Every failure. Every victory. Every time humanity chose to continue. The architects finally understood. Humanity was not powerful because it had the strongest weapons. Humanity was powerful because it refused to stop. The ancient machines shut down. The war ended. And the galaxy changed forever. Years later, a new galactic assembly was created. Every species had a voice. Every civilization had a place. And at the center of the chamber was a symbol. The world that was once ignored. The world that was once silenced. The world that reminded everyone of one truth. You can silence a voice. You can ignore a civilization. You can underestimate a species. But you cannot stop humanity from rising. Because when the galaxy tried to erase Earth, Earth did not disappear. Earth answered. And when humanity finally spoke again, the entire galaxy listened.